Okay, hello everyone. I am here with Dr. Suzanne Lee, and all I could say is I'm so honored to be speaking with you today. You have been so influential post-awakening for me.
Hmm.
I can't even express that. And I just want to start out by saying that a week ago, this wasn't even in the sphere of my reality. And it just shows how the universe works and how these divine connections come to pass. It's just absolutely incredible.
Yes. Well, that's great. That's always, I love doing this because I get to meet all kinds of different new people that,
Mhm.
we're all the same, but we're all different. So,
Exactly. We build these amazing connections and get to talk about our experiences. For my subscribers and my followers, you have created multidimensions.com, which was the
yeah.
website that I found initially. You also have a blog, Awakening with Suzanne Lee, and you've written numerous books, right?
Yeah.
Regarding
Mhm.
your contact channelings with the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, all sorts of cool stuff on consciousness, just absolutely amazing. I've discovered your website, multidimensions.com, shortly after I awakened. Of course, we're looking for answers, right?
Yeah, of
And
course.
I came across your website and the journey. I started
Yeah.
reading the journey and I read through the whole thing, all the way through fulfillment.
Mm.
And it seems like, and it took a while. There's so much great content there. Um, and it seemed like as I opened up my communication with my guides, I would receive information and I would go and I would read a section of your site and it would completely validate it. It would happen like on the same day. Just absolutely
Oh.
incredible. So I
Yeah,
called it
well,
my instruction book.
yeah, you stepped into the magic.
Exactly. I called it my instruction book. And it was just an amazing experience. And that happened shortly in 2018 after I awakened. Um, but you are a clinical psychologist, right? PhD.
Yes, I did get a PhD. I'm not exactly working underneath of those too many restrictions, to have
Mm-hmm.
to. But yes, I have the PhD and I've had that for 10, 20, I don't know, 30, long time.
Long time. How did
Yeah.
that world, it's like almost two worlds colliding. You have a
Yeah.
very analytical side with the education and the PhD, and then you have this ambiguous area of communication with galactics and consciousness and things of that nature, that really you can't read in books. You're not taught this in school. How did that kind of merge with you? How did that come about?
Well, from the time I was a child, I was always talking to somebody. And it didn't bother me that I couldn't see them because I usually couldn't see whoever I
Mm-hmm.
was talking to. I think I got a website. The people talked about having a website. I think I was
Mm-hmm.
maybe one of the very first websites that were put up. So I put up the we put up the website. Then people started coming in. It was just that simple. They were interested. If you thought that you were just starting it, you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't. Too big. Too no, can't.
Your
You
mind,
know,
yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And instead, it was like, well, see, I always had these things talking in my head and telling me this and that and the other. And so I learned uh, to listen to the talking into my head much
Sure.
more than this talking that outside me talking.
Mm-hmm. See, I had that too. Ever since I was young, I had visitations and things like that. I had voices. You hear things, and we're taught to discount them, right? It's just
Yeah,
imagination. Turn away from that. Get back into life. Go to school.
right.
Whatever. Go to work.
Yeah.
But at some point, you start to realize that there's more to it, and that led up to me back in 2018. I had an experience where I was sitting out in my backyard listening to music, and I know you've talked about when you meditate, you listen to music.
Yeah. Yeah.
It keeps me really focused. And
Yeah.
I was in a really relaxed state. And I had this just transcendental experience. I popped out of my body. I attributed to my crown opening up. I had all my chakras 1 through 7, 8 through
Lined up.
12 light up, all of them, external, internal. And I found myself out of my body. I was still aware of sitting in my lounge chair, but yet I was in space and all this energy was moving through me. And all these questions were coming up and answers to the questions were forming as well. Quantum physics stuff, gravity, life in the universe on other planets. All this stuff just started coming simultaneously. And
Wow.
that was a life-changing event for me. By trade, I'm a CPA. I was a
Uh-huh.
CPA up until
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Oh,
I sold my practice, and I'm diving into this full time because once you have an experience like that, it's very difficult, as you know,
yeah.
to really stay rooted in the 3D type of stuff. More the left brain stuff, the right brain starts to take over. And
Yeah.
there's just this mission of bringing this information forward and sharing it with the world and showing people what is possible, what our reality truly
Yes.
is, you know.
We know that there's something else besides daily life because
Mm-hmm.
this something else talks to us. And if we do what the something else tells us to do, then things go exactly the way that we wanted it to go.
That's the guidance. Yeah. And I
So,
feel,
yeah.
far too often, I think people just turn away from that. They don't put any faith in that. They don't put any trust in that. And
Yeah.
they're so bound by the programming and
Yeah.
fear. I know you talk about fear a lot on your website and how we have to move up through 4D and move past that fear, right? The lower levels of 4D, get past that fear so we can really get
Yeah.
in tune with our guidance and whoever else wants to communicate with us or is trying to communicate with us, like the
Yes.
galactics, right?
Yes. The galactics. Yeah.
Yeah, such an amazing time. The Arcturians, you have had a lot of experience, a lot of communication with them, and I've communicated with them as well. When did that all come about? I know when you were younger, you were hearing them. When did you make the connection that there was something really here, that made it more real, made it more grounded for you?
It was always real and it was never grounded.
Right.
So it was just always real. Uh,
Okay.
I would, at the time when it started, uh, I was young, like a kid practically.
Hmm.
And we lived on this property, that was like an acre or so. And then we could go up a hill and be up in nature. And so I just had all this nature around me. And we had this
Okay.
old house, and um, nature spoke to me.
For me, I had always believed in life out there
Yeah,
and things like that. I had always heard and had these experiences, but when I talk about grounding this, I pulled it into my reality. I made it really real, something that I could really trust and rely on.
yeah,
Because prior to that, there was an element of imagination, right? We're working within programming, and it's your wild imagination. But after that experience, it came down into me. I brought it back
yeah,
with me and brought it forward, and it became real. And after that experience, I had the Galactics come in.
yeah,
Actually, they were standing in my foyer one day on a
yeah.
Friday morning. Okay, they
Uh,
were beams of light communicating with me, and shortly after, they brought forward my Pleiadian guide, who it's an always on connection with
yeah,
her, and with my main guide, it's an always on connection. Now I turn away at times. I get focused on life's tasks and things like that, but it's a frequency, right? So when we're in train to that frequency, we could tune back into it. Maybe it's a few breaths, grounding breaths,
yeah,
anchor deep into Gaia,
yeah,
extend that antenna up, right? You got to go
yeah,
down to go up. I tell people that all the time, right?
yeah. Right.
And before I know it, I'm realigned. It's like tuning that radio dial and the information starts flowing. It's a very telepathic type of connection. It's a two-way conversation, which is absolutely incredible. And I know you
And
experienced that as well
yes,
in
I,
your
I,
communications.
I have. And uh, they told me write it down,
Hmm.
write it down, write it down, write it down,
We
because
forget
then,
it, right?
oh, absolutely, especially something that doesn't fit anywhere into anybody else's life,
Like
you
10
know.
minutes after like 10 minutes after the information comes, you've forgotten it. It's like, what
Yes,
happened? Yes. Mhm.
yeah. Where did it go? Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have that box to put this in, right? Again, we go back to being a psychologist, with the left brain, that analytical thinking. We really don't have a place to put this information. It comes in at such a high frequency,
yeah,
and it's gone. So if I'm with somebody when this happens, they will either record it or take notes.
yeah,
otherwise, and I will try to just verbalize everything that's coming, because I've learned that it's gone shortly after. There's so many things that I've forgotten, right, Sue, that I just, wish I had it documented.
Well, what I did is I never left the house without a pencil and paper.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband, he was the driver. So if we were going someplace and oh my gosh, and I just pick it up and write it down, because it goes away real fast. I mean, you kind of go zip and then it's gone. Like, wow, wait a second, we can't keep up with you.
Exactly. And sometimes it comes through, the channelings come through so fast. It's just, just word after word after word after word after word. It's just amazing. And when people are present and witnessing this, and from our perspective, there's really no thought process happening. It's just information, it's energy flowing through us, right? We're verbalizing this. People are amazed by that. They're like, where is this coming from? It's just these words, they cohere into these ideas and these concepts and these amazing things. I mean, I've got information on quantum physics, like I've said, all sorts of things, visions about craft in our atmosphere, craft near the sun, energy, all sorts of stuff. And even by location experiences where I've appeared simultaneously sitting here and on a craft, in another location. When we're merging and we're experiencing our higher dimensional aspects, our 5D and higher selves, we can peer into, if we can raise our frequency high enough, to peer into these realities. And once we do that, we become aware of them. We pull them in, don't we? We start to integrate them, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot more of that going on right now. And I want to share that with people. And your experiences are very much in alignment with this type of information. I know that your connection is just amazing. It was very influential for me.
Don't thank me. Thank the Arcturians.
The Arcturians, yes. I'll read some of your channelings, and I'm like, wow, that's a message for me. And I had a couple months ago, one of the people in my membership contacted me, and they said the Syrians had a message for me. This was a time when I was orchestrating the sale of my accounting practice. So I was very stressed, had a lot going on in life, wasn't real connected. And I know you've had a period of time too, where you were kind of away from this for a number of years, I think you've said, right? And you kind of drifted back, came back to it.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way, doesn't it?
Life gets in the way. And then sometimes this is just too weird. Or what do I do with this?
The craziness factor, right? The weirdness.
Yeah, the craziness factor comes in. But I didn't really have a whole lot of the craziness factor, because it was too real, like with your experience, that if it's real, it's real. It's real,
yeah. Or more real, like you say. I like to think that this is the dream and that's the awakened state. This is the asleepness, that's the awakened. But I had somebody reach out to me back to that with a message from the Syrians. They said, Marc has to get on this call. The Syrians have a message for you. So I went on that call, and just an amazing message at a time when I needed it, because I was so focused on selling my practice and I had all this stress. But as we continue to allow these energies to move through us, as we expand our consciousness, it becomes more real. I mean, the reality I'm living in today, I never would have thought it was possible 10 years ago, as far as my experiences, my perceptions, my communication.
Yeah.
We have to be able to allow this to happen. I think people are so closed off to it. And that's where the craziness comes in. That's programming, right? Isn't that because it's outside of what we expect this reality bandwidth of frequency to be? It's above that. And people look at that and they think that that's crazy. It doesn't fit in with what's expected, right?
But we have to get, obviously you got through it, and obviously I got through it. And then once we got through that place, then it was like, hey, this is so much better. I don't care what people think about it. This is cool.
Exactly.
I like this. This is great. I mean, I get to talk to unseen beings and, write books and do all kinds of cool things. And, you're never bored, because something new is always coming in.
It's always there. It's always there. And that's the thing. And it takes a little bit of work and time to to get to that point, there's programming we have to clear. There's fear. There's these blockages energetically that we need to move through and alchemize, raise our frequency, right? We talk about in the ascension process. And when we do that, this craziness starts to become normal. It moves through us and it starts to manifest, and it's reality. And when we can embody that, we actually can offer that up to other individuals to have those types of experiences. It's holding space for them.
Yes.
And that's a big part of our mission here at this time, is to show others what is possible. And I know we're just at the tip of the iceberg with light body activation and things of that nature. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but as the collective consciousness rises in frequency, we are able to create that reality, to birth that new reality and bring it forward. And it's amazing to just talk to people and see that process unfold.
The same process unfolds different with each person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's their life and their mission, and
different experiences for everyone. Absolutely. You know, that's the thing with me, is people will say, and I'm sure you get this too, I'm trying to communicate with the Pleiadians in the same way that you do, or have the same kind of connection. And I always tell them, I said, your experiences are going to be different. You can look to mine as just a guide. It's one way of doing things, but when you become available and open for your truth to unfold, that's the magic. That's when it starts to happen.
When you're not doing something because you want to do it, you're doing something because it's doing it to you. You know, it's there, and you can't just let it be there. It has to. You have to let it flow. We have to let it flow, or then we would just be weird. You know, that was
you have to open
favorite.
up to that possibility of all of this, and it does flow. And people, their mind tries to block it because it feels weird in the beginning. And for me, it was very weird. And it took, with my YouTube channel and my content, it took me a while to really start to step out or be comfortable enough or ready to start bringing this forward, because it was so different from the life that I had before, with, being in taxes and things like that. What were people going to think? What were people going to say? So those were the things that were on my mind. But it continues to build. It just builds. And the more you heal this and you release this fear, the more you allow this energy to come forward and manifest. And it's keeping, like you say, it's keeping that flowing and allowing that to come forward. That's so important. However it wants to come forward, you just allow that process.
I just never saw the world the way other people saw the world. I'm sure
very much like me.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
I would when I was younger, I would look up at the stars. I'd look up at the sky. I'd be looking for things that were outside of normal.
Yeah.
And you just felt this energy within you. All this is it's locked up in our DNA. It's just frozen in our DNA, waiting to be released.
Yeah.
And I guess that was, obviously I came in with this mission to do this kind of work. And that's why when I was younger, I felt that draw. This really doesn't feel like home. There's more to it. And that kind of just led up to, at the point when I, had that experience, that I was ready, divine timing, ready to take this on.
Yes. And there is that in between place where first you're just a regular person, and then there's like things start coming in, and it's like, but then it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away.
Right.
It doesn't go away. Go away.
It's like a coincidence, right? Oh, that's a coincidence. And then, a little bit later, you're like, no, that's not a coincidence, because things keep happening, right?
Right.
That's kind of the needle on the compass. We're being shown which a direction to move in, if we could just trust and ground and quiet our minds a little bit and allow this to unfold. The galactics, when they came to me, was very interesting. Again, it was a Friday morning. I was just sitting on my couch in my family room, and these three light shafts appear, and they start communicating with me, just out of the blue. I think I had meditated earlier that morning. Apparently I was in a frequency, in a state of mind, brainwave frequency that allowed that to happen, but it was just a very vivid, very real experience. A lot of that kind of stuff happens to me wide awake. I've had so many experiences, Sue, in my accounting office during the day. Okay, yeah, but you believe that? Like I've had relatives, deceased relatives, come in. I've had my main
relatives
spirit guide
on
there.
The other side?
On the other side, deceased,
Yeah.
yes. I've had they're there. My spirit guides there, my Pleiadian guides there, all at the same time. So all of this just lights up all at once, and they're communicating with me. And if I have somebody there present with me, I'm relaying messages and things like that. Just absolutely amazing things that are available to us, that are locked up within us. And that's what we really need to show people, right? Through our experiences.
We use such a small portion of our abilities,
Mm-hmm.
of our brain. What do we use? Like 10%?
10%, they say, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're always operating in that beta bandwidth, right? With the doing and the thinking and the whatever, where we don't take the time to step back and just change that frequency and allow that part of us to kind of quiet down and shut down and allow the right brain to kind of take over, right?
Yeah.
What I do is breath work is very, very key for me. I will do channel breathing and look for energetic blockages. So when we look to breath and focus on breath, the mind automatically slows down. We give it something productive to do, and we bring it right in here, right?
Right.
Instead of just thoughts going like this, like this, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do. I will meditate. I will put on music, my favorite music, my playlists, and I will sit back and I will breathe. And a lot of times I'll use, I have a mindfold mask that blocks out light completely. I'll put that on just to block out any residual light that comes in. And I will sit with the music. I will breathe. I will focus on different instruments or aspects in the music. And that gets me away from my thoughts. Yeah. That's how I do it. And those are the types of things I talk about on my channel and my videos.
Yes, that's good, to get away from your thoughts and allow ourselves to be aware to that frequency that normally we are not aware of.
Right. We get caught up with the doing. And there are certain things in our reality that really bring us back to those frequencies that come through the five senses, synchronicities, things like that, right? Yeah. I've got certain breadcrumbs and things that my guides have set up for me that I just know when I see it, that's a reminder to get back, just to bring it back, to take that breath. And when that happens, it's a few breaths. Calming breaths, ground deep into Gaia, and then you come back. How, for my viewers, I wanted you, if you could explain how you connect with the Arcturians. What's your process? How you go about that? Because everyone's is a little bit different. It'd be great to just share a different perspective.
Well, it depends where I'm at. That's why I always carry a paper or a pencil with me, because I never know when they're going to come. And it's very clear if I don't write it down, it goes away, because it's of a frequency that's higher than our third dimensional brain. And
it
doesn't stick. Won't stay there. It doesn't
that's
stick.
Right.
Yeah. And so then I kind of had to just follow the yellow brick road.
Yeah, because with me, it's I guess it's different, and like we've said, it's different with every person. But what I will do is just, we have to stop our mind from whatever we're doing. We have to open up to be able to feel, right? Yeah. We can't be thinking. We have to feel, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's where the information comes through. And I have found for me that just the breathing, the deep breathing and the root and that kind of thing is what gets me centered to bringing forward, to reconnecting to this information, because they're always there. And I know for me, it's not that they have a message for me or for anyone else. You just have this feeling that it's time to connect. You have this feeling, it comes through, it builds up in you. And with the galactics again, initially with me, I look back to before they landed, before they appeared, there were things happening within my field. They will work within your energetic field, and they will entrain you to their frequency. And it might be things that are happening that you don't know are happening, and then they appear. So my guide, my Pleiadian guide, has talked to me about the subtleties of the adjustments within our field. And they come in and they do that. That's happening on a planetary scale right now, where they're in modulating the frequency of Gaia. They're assisting Gaia in holding space, which is allowing this to rise. And they're alchemizing a lot of the fear and things we're experiencing right now as well. But because people ask me all the time, how do you connect? I can't connect. I can't do this. And again, it's just like this for me. And this is something I think that could apply to most people. It's not an instruction book per se, but it's a getting in the right frame of mind, getting your mind quiet. And again, the breathing is very, very crucial for that process for me. That's what works for me. Maybe different for other people. Maybe it's different for you.
No, the breathing is always really.
The breathing is
because breathing is like, what does that breath say? And then there's
fight or flight, right?
What does that breath say? You know, and then there's like, oh, what does that breath say? You know, so the breath says it.
And when we could bring awareness to the breath, we drop it in, and we could control that, and just bring consciousness to it. That puts us into a frequency where we could receive it, and this information becomes available. So very, very important. That's what I want people to get out of this primarily, is that allow it to happen your way. But be aware of what's possible, right? And because you may do it differently. I do it differently. That's okay. That's okay. And that's what I wanted to highlight. And definitely document it, because the brain does not have a place for this information.
No, the brain does not have a place for this information.
It will go. It will go very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Have you received anything? I know on your channel, I'm going to put a link to your YouTube channel below. You do energy updates and things like that. Occasionally you talk about consciousness. Anything that you have received recently that you'd like to share?
The first thing that came in is love. Love is not easy. Love is probably the human's biggest challenge, because we have to give away our most precious parts of ourselves. We give away. But of course, we realize that when we give away, what goes out comes back. You know, it's a circular pattern. And so, you know, like if people are easily frightened, then they're frightened, and they're frightened, and they're frightened, and they're frightened. But if people remember, you know, okay. And it usually takes like 3 good breaths
Yeah,
to really to get you right there on track. And then as you do those 3 good breaths, I don't know what I'm going to do after those 3 big breaths. You know, that's part of.
But that's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, because like with you, talking with you, us talking to each other. I mean, we didn't have to think, oh, I should talk about this, or I should talk about that. No, we both just were letting it out.
Letting it flow.
Letting it flow, right. And it's wonderful to be in a situation where people can understand it. You know,
right. Yes.
And they can go, oh, wow, I didn't think of that. That was good. Maybe I'll try that someday. I don't know.
Definitely.
Sounds a little weird, but I might try it. You know,
it's bringing it on the radar.
Right? Yeah, I'm looking over there, and I'm seeing those 2 big rocks, and I got rocks all over the place.
The amethyst and the labradorite. Yes. Oh, I love them. Yeah, I've got a few. I've got some on here too.
Yeah.
Very grounding. But that's an excellent point. It's just, it's hard to perceive something when we're not aware that it's possible. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's where the imagination is so crucial. And people think, you know, again, when you think imagination, you're thinking child with an imaginary friend, that kind of thing. And we know the imaginary friends are very, very real, but people kind of put it in this box.
Yes.
and discount it. And that isn't that the doorway to what we're speaking of? Isn't that really it opens up what's possible? You
Yeah.
can't perceive something if you don't really think it's possible. The brain will try to label it in a way it understands, coincidence,
Yes.
whatever.
But that comes from the past. That comes from all the things that you've
Programming.
accumulated throughout your life.
It's programming.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're talking about taking that step beyond.
Mm-hmm. You know, if I look at the clock throughout the day, I'm seeing 11:11. You know, day after day after day. You know, I could think, oh, that's a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
When we realize that there's something higher happening here, there's something grander, something greater going on, that then is the message in and of itself.
Yeah.
We don't have to analyze it any further. The message is, let's expand. Let's be available for more of that, because once we acknowledge that, more will come. We make ourselves available and more will come through. And that's what led me to my communication, you know, with my Pleiadian guide and my spirit guide. I've got just some stuff that's just crazy. After that initial event, just mind-blowing stuff. It's on my channel, my YouTube channel, but it just opens the door for just amazement. And then we realize that amazement is who we really are, that everything we've experienced here is kind of just a watered down version of reality, right? The amazing stuff is who we really are. And we're returning to that. And as the planet continues to ascend and more people work through their fear, more of that energy on a collective scale is going to come forward, and that will become the new reality. We're going to start experiencing more of this on a collective scale. And I think we're just getting the planet ready for that.
Yeah, but I should talk a little bit about the planet ascending, because that's like something like, wow, the planet ascends, but everything ascends.
Everything ascends, yes. And Gaia returning to, the planetary body, which we are a part of, and everything is just returning back, to a higher frequency, moving up into 5D. And in order to do that, the anchoring frequencies, the dense frequencies, the fear, that kind of thing needs to be released, right? Needs to be healed. And when we can bring our experiences forward and open people's minds up to a greater reality, it allows that density to heal, to come up, to be felt. We need to feel this and alchemize it, right?
Yes.
And rise its, increase its frequency. And that's what's happening right now. We see it collectively. The world's in a very strange state right now. Moving through something that it may be a planetary dark night of the soul, if you want to call it that, right? Just a lot of wackiness
easily
happening.
Be, and also the landings are going to happen.
Yes, they are.
The landings are going to happen, and so people like us are talking about things that we're talking about to prepare people that don't freak out. Do you really think that in all of the multiverse there's only one
just
little
us
planet called Earth?
Right.
Come on.
Let me share this with you. This just happened to me at 2:30 a.m. this morning. And normally I don't have dreams about my guides. I communicate with them in my waking day. Okay. But this was a very vivid dream just this morning. I looked up in the sky and there were a bunch of ships. Okay. And there was a light craft. Okay. There were ships, physical ships, and then a light craft. And the light craft landed. And my Pleiadian guide came off of it. Okay, she came off, and I met her, and we embraced, and it just in pure amazement. And she said to me, "That's why you're here, to prepare for contact, to bring this message forward." This was a message I just received last night. This is just information, and it's interesting that we're talking about this and that you bring it up today.
Yes, preparing for contact. I've been getting that. We've been getting that all along, probably from the time we were children, because we were people that came to remember.
Yes.
But came to remember. And we're not the only ones, of course. There's lots of people who came to remember. Lots and lots of people. But that coming to remember, that gives you a sense of duty. It's like it's part of our duty that
Yeah, it's our mission. Yeah.
We can, yeah, it's our mission. Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so how do we do that is up to each person.
Yeah. And I've never had a dream that vivid, especially one with my guide, with her in it. And it was just very
Yeah.
different from a normal dream. And these are real experiences and their messages. And I knew I was going to get on with you today and speak with you. So I know there was a tie-in with that. Of course, you bring that forward because we're all connected, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Yellow Brick Road earlier, and the Yellow Brick Road
Yeah.
came up for me the other day. So
Yeah.
these are things that on a quantum level are always
Yeah.
working. We're always connected. And we're just bringing people's attention to that fact.
After what you said, we're off to see the Wizard, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Exactly.
Because.
Isn't that what it is? That's what it's like. And
Yeah.
and even in that movie, you have to believe, you have to have faith, and you have to know that the power is within you. That was the whole, right?
That's the whole thing, that it's inside of us.
That's right. And the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, all of the contact that we have with the many beautiful beings are showing us that, and reminding us of that the power is within us. And I think that's a really good message, I think, to close on today.
Yes, it is. Yes.
If you have anything else you want to bring forward, I'll obviously give you that opportunity.
Let me see. I'll ask the Arcturians if they have something they specifically want to say. Thank you very much. We, the Arcturians, to whom we came to Suzelle, Sue, they call me Suzelle, came to see Suzelle when she was a small child, as you as well were chosen as a small child. The children are all growing up. All of the children are growing up. Because there's something very important and new and different that's coming in. There's going to be a transition, a growing moment. Do you feel that? I'm sure
I absolutely feel that. Yes, I think that dream was a big indicator of that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's getting bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. It is rising. It is rising from within.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Sue.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.